Lee Thompson over.
No amount of disruption can truly keep me from doing my job. Thank you very much for bearing with. And welcome to the final round of the FF1600s SOF Championship for the 2025 Season 3 on iRacing. It's been a spectacular season with a bunch of spectacular tracks, but if you wanted to bring it to one fun place to round it up, some would tell you this is the best of them all, Ron.
Oh, it absolutely is. Donington, it's an old school British racetrack. It's been around all the way since the 20s, I believe. It's fun, it's fast, and you got a lot of challenge baked into it as well. I think it's a perfect track to bring this season to a close because it's got enough challenge to keep these racers on their toes. Yeah, we also have those flat out blasts, the start finish straightaway, and that backstretch mainly. They'll keep these racers still packed in quite well. Saw some pretty good racing this past weekend, and I expect no different here in this final race of this season.
There's still some places up for grabs, so I don't think there's any doubt that Renz Broekman has been the most consistent. In this 5.6k SOF race, he'll be starting in the 1 car. Gronkowski and Medma are tied on point, and a drop week could put Daniel Tufts in contention for P2. We'll be keeping an eye on the battles as they evolve over this lovely sprint race. On the national layout, you don't get the crazy little hairpin and chicane and bollard at the end. Instead, you fly around this track. Let's get on board for just a moment with Renz Broekman's car. We get a little peek at what it's really like to head through the back portion of this track. We are used to the classic layout from the last season, and the incredible downhill sections as you head out. But this is where this track starts to differ quite a bit. This chicane is faster and more furious than it may look, it being the last chance for you to get a good passing opportunity in. Last time we got to race this layout, it was horribly wet out there on the track, so we're appreciating getting the chance to do it on the dry. That's Rens Brookman running through. I don't know if there's any fastest laps on the board right now. There's only one way to find out, and that's by pressing the button. Doesn't look like it yet. One of our first drivers will be Christopher Cash to set a time to start this session.
And waiting for these first lap times on the board, probably going to be one of the quickest sets of lap times that we have from the entirety of this season, as there's and Medma jumping up to the top, 1:13.0 for Medma. You can see the rest of the racers solidly inside the 1:13s. Going to be a close field as well, with the short track and a fast track as well. Even with the challenging turns that you have around here, it's still going to be a very close field.
Is Kieran Shanks' first lap. That's going to put him down in P4, trying to keep a track now on Rens Brookman. He should be one of the next to complete, but I'll tell you, it's been a pretty slow lap. He might be down on 2 seconds here from the average pace, so that's not quite going to be a success first time around. Thomas Fleming, first time we've seen him in some time in the classic Alpine design from the winter test. He's got the fastest so far. Andre Castro's finished 2 laps on the book, but I don't think either were legal. And he has now removed his car from the track, asked to leave the session after putting in 2 illegal laps. Rens Brookman does get a good jump out in that final sector, 4 tenths down. Marcus Luzio, James Pecker, and Jake Williams are the last 3 that don't have a lap on the board. Christopher Cash's second one is very fast. That's going to be... it was going to put him second, and Medma jumps him just a little. Thomas Fleming was the fastest, and I don't think anyone is quite threatening. Not even some of these new laps that are flying through. We might have a pole sitter from 6K. Thomas Fleming, of course, saying Callum Voisin sets a fast one. P4 now. It was P3. Kieran Shanks responds with third, and that's going to put Thomas Fleming on pole position as he crosses by, sees if he can go any faster. Qualifying went a bit too fast for me to really track there, let me tell you that. It is an improvement. It's a 1:12.4. That's going to make the fastest lap on the road. James V. Pecker failed to say a legal lap the first time around. He'll be the last one across the line. These laps do come at you fast. We're going to be doing plenty of them on the track today, I think.
That we certainly will. It's going to be a quick-paced race to bring this season to a conclusion. Just want to touch on qualifying as we see Becker come across the line now. Will it be a good time for the driver of the number 7 car as he comes across and not seeing a time? There's a time. It's P2. That's a pretty good lap time there from Becker. Let's see if there's any more improvement between now and the end of this qualifying session. Do want to raise, though, as of recent here in this series, it's been since the Long Beach race quite a few weeks ago that we've seen a driver other than Fraser Smith and Matt Kendall start one of these races here on Maconi Entertainment from the pole position. Looking like we're going to change that as Kieran Shanks, that driver who started from the pole at Long Beach, is going to be right on the second row, but here we go.
Decided, I think everybody set their lap, so this should set our grid. Thomas Fleming up in the pole position next to James Pecker in second. Kieran Shanks back after a few weeks out, wants to try and get one more win on the books. He'll line up third, that's Jake R. Williams. Callum Voisin then lines up in P5, and Medma in 6th. Graham Rory Hunt is in 7th, alongside the same design car from Christopher Cash alongside. Daniel Tufts is here in 9th, with Jordan Kogowski is in 10th, a few more behind.
And just a few more drivers left on this starting grid. Rens Brookman looking to seal the deal in the championship, starting this race in P11 alongside Marcus Luzio in P12. Looking right behind on our 7th row, it's Alexander Istad alongside Martin Olnoldis, making up P13 and P14. And that will do it for the final starting grid from this season. Howie, it's been a wonderful season up to this point. We've had a lot of storylines to talk about, lots of challenging races, lots of drama out there on the racetrack as well. Gotta imagine we're going to get another case of that here tonight. It's going to be fun. That run down to turn number 1 going to be treacherous, and these racers gonna have to keep an eye on those incident points all throughout this race that lies ahead. It being an official 17x is the limit, and around this track, considering that you're going to be doing lap after lap after lap after lap, it is going to feel like that 17x may as well be a 1.7x limit.
There were disqualifications in the last time slot, as well as massive pile-ups as well into the chicane. Our lowest rated driver here is 4.3k, by the way. Marcel Nodas will be a heavyweight in almost any split he makes it to. He's actually the lowest rated driver on his 15-car grid. Andre Castro is also in the session. Wasn't able to set a time. I'm not sure whether we hit in the grid. We're also waiting for Thomas Fleming to line up on our front row to finish our championship up. And we got a great one around next season. Some tracks very different, some tracks very much the same. There is Castro on the back, failed to set a time, but he's hit up the road. Thomas Fleming at the front as well, and that's going to give us a grid to get going on this season finale. 20 minutes of racing. Holding him for a long time. And away we go. Lots of drivers diving straight to the inside, but James Pecker was unable to get into line. Jake Williams was the first to move. Now Thomas Fleming goes wide. This is usually the best line into the first turn around here. Callum Voisin hangs it outside as we approach the violent downhill chicanes here of Donington Park. We've all made it single file. Andre Castro's jumped up one position already on the field. But pretty measured as it goes for the first half of this track. Let's keep our eyes peeled now for the rest of this lap. I think drivers might be getting more desperate as it goes on, but already that's Callum Voisin around the outside trying to make the issue happen up the hill. He is faster. He touches the grass on the outside. A little bit of contact as well with Williams, but the two are able to just about stay on the track. I would have thought he would have cleared Williams by now. He has not. Still side by side down this straight, and this is where things can go wrong if they're not properly planned. Graham Rory ducks in behind. Jake Williams gets the clean out break, and I think most of the field have made it a clean first lap, but a lot of different lines being tried out already by these drivers.
Yeah, I can already starting to see these racers begin to experiment, trying to figure out the best way around this place. Again, it has been a while since we saw this series run at this track, and this isn't really a place that gets a whole lot of use on iRacing, so these racers looking to reacclimatize themselves to it as they are still side by side between Jake Williams and Callum Voisin as they head their way down to the old hairpin of turn number 4. This fast right-handed kink. Gotta see Jake Williams finally get that move done to jump his way up into 4th. It's still not over, as you can see Voisin back now gonna be on the outside line as they head their way into turn number 7 right about now, and side-by-side racing still going on right behind Ant Medba. Oh, spin from Voisin.
And that was the end of that story. It was brewing for a short while, and I thought somebody was going to make contact and go a little bit backwards. Let's try and keep an eye on what happened to Callum Voisin's car and all that, as he is sent to the back, ahead, leaving that small chicane down the hill. And it is, that's a netcode contact, unfortunately, that sent him down and out. I think there was space for both to run, but instead, Callum's going to have to do some work from the back and pay no attention to what we just saw Marcus Luzio do, but that is a doomed car.
Yeah, doomed car and a doomed way to start this race for him. He's now down in the pits, and we take a look at the replay. Bang! Up into the air he's gonna go. That's the thing with the curbs heading off through the final chicane. They're not necessarily curbs. They are massive launch ramps for these FF1600 cars. You can see he gets that move done rather gutsy. That cut across really doomed him as he hit the grass, trying to get walled up into the turn, and went for a wild ride there. That was an aggressive cutback as they headed their way off into the braking zone. But right there, that's the first little bit of aeronautics that we have seen thus far here in this race in Donington. I have a certain feeling, though, Howie, probably not going to be the last that we see here today.
If anything in this race gets a slow-mo to classical music by the end, it's going to be that glorious jump through the air. The scrambling is very, very real now. Here's a freeway battle. Daniel Tufts, Andre Castro, and Jordan Gukowski. Castro's choosing to start from the back and already making good progress up the grid. He's got to slice and dice with a common rival of his, Daniel Tufts. He's sent wide. I'm seeing a lot of use of the grass, and I'm getting very scared at what this is going to do to drivers' safety ratings and incident counts by the end. Castro ducks out. He went too wide, but bold. Sent to the inside. A little bit of contact too. Kind of just knows the limit of quite how hard you can send it and possibly even touch someone on the way. He gets away with it. Istad trying to get past Arnoldus as well. Sort of moves a little bit wide. Doesn't quite get it. Kieran Shank set the fastest lap. He's lined up in this top 3 with Fleming and Pekka. Looking for some new winners in this championship so far this week on the finale. These would be 1 or 2 new winners. Kieran Shanks wouldn't be his first by any means. Jake Williams has quite the gap behind.
Yeah, and in these broadcasted races, Kieran Shanks actually won that race that he started from the pole at Long Beach a couple of weeks ago. That was, up to that point in time, the only racer to be able to convert a pole position into a victory. The only other racer to do that since was Fraser Smith last time out at Oschersleben, as we followed Jordan Gronkowski, a 2-time race winner up to this point in the season in these broadcasted races. That brilliant view that he has got from his sim rig. He was behind the wheel when he won at Summit Point and Watkins Glen, currently holding on to a pretty all-right spot down in 9th right now. He's definitely going to have to shift those gears and break in those gloves a little bit to break his way up a little bit farther up the road. I will say, though, Howie, you mentioned a good point talking about these racers utilizing the track limits. I'm pretty sure the last time I saw this much grass get used at a single point in time, I was watching a Snoop Dogg music video.
I was looking for a chance to use Gronkowski cam for the last 3-4 weeks. I'm glad we have it for the finale. I'd love to get some more driver cams on board as well for the next season, so feel free to let me know, because I'm very, very, very excited myself. Still this top 3 lined up as is. Fleming, Pekka and Shanks, 1, 2 and 3, and Medma has the bigger battle on his hands here. He was able to get past Jake Williams, now side by side, and still 2 rows back. Rens Brookman's playing quite anonymous in there. Cash makes a move now to the outside as we run down this straight. Longest straight on the track. We're seeing some drafting work, but then you've got to keep it slowed down for the chicane and not do something stupid by flying over. It really is a joy to watch them fly down every single time. That 9-car Jake Williams ahead of the 2 rows. Cash and Medma. Brookman tries to poke his nose out. Doesn't quite happen. Further back, here's Arnoldas again. Andre Castro's slipping back in time. And you may wonder where Daniel Tufts went. Well, let me tell you, something did indeed happen, and it might also explain what happened to Andre Castro. Let's catch the replay. I think it's the chicane again. Castro tries to go wide, but Gronkowski's just in the way. And it's just an unfortunate combination through a very, very bumpy chicane. And that's going to send Tufts to the back. And that's what slowed down Castro as well. Got him off the back of the pack. But Tufts, he's miles off now. He's actually in last at the very, very back. This top line still sort of hasn't moved too much, but these drivers are still making every inch of the track their own and still trading every place they have. It's Jake Williams ahead of the pack for now. And Jordan Gronkowski trying to catch up, trying to get in that wake. Still not seeing it much out from it. People, I think they're being a little bit cautious, not even at the halfway point. Good time. James Pekka, Thomas Fleming and Kieran Shanks still make up this top 3, still haven't moved all too much.
Yeah, no, they've been running in a line. They've been running by themselves, sicking the laps away and trying to get to the end of this race before they really begin to throw haymakers at one another. We've seen already in this race, Howie, the incidents up to this point really been down to drivers going for attempted maneuvers and it not really working out too well. Just saw that moment with Daniel Tufts and Andre Castro. Castro, the winner from the race a couple of weeks ago at Sonoma, and also recently sealed the deal in the other Radical Official Series Championship on iRacing, which you can catch over on another network. But Castro, very talented racer, has some experience running in Formula Ford machinery in real life. I guess it's Formula 1600 machinery, I should say, but he loves these cars. Did all right in that Sonoma race, but right now slide down in P11 instead of P1s. But take a look at side-by-side racing. That's some close quarter stuff. Off into the final chicane. Going side-by-side off to that final chicane, Howie, is like trying to pick up antimatter with chopsticks. You can't do it.
Someone on the voice chat is shouting this race is scripted, and unfortunately I can't tell you exactly who is making that complaint. Cash, wide on the grass, really starting to get worried about these incident points now. This little jockeying, I think maybe drivers are getting frustrated that they're quite doing this sort of jockeying. There's no inches for any of them. We've not had anything truly fall apart. One voice I don't think it was with Kieran Shanks. I've started to recognise a few people on the track, and he's still stuck but getting slightly closer every once in a while, slightly inching his way in, not quite getting it done. Williams over Medma, over Brookman, over Cash. We might need to get in the chopper cam again because I think we're about to have another draft train tangle. This is really where the racing is happening in the middle portion of this time.
And as we continue to see this racing action out there on the track, and look at that, the maneuvers cutting shapes big time between Brookman and Medma as they head their way down to the chicane. Brookman gonna get that move done to jump his way up into P5. I was going to do a little bit of investigative journalism, hit the book somewhat to figure out who is calling out on the script there. If there is a script, we haven't gotten one, but I'll tell you what, the drama that we've had up to this point has really been something that you could see out of a movie. It's some pretty awesome stuff that we've had up to this point in this season. These races up in the front, though, still keeping it calm and keeping it tame. They're on a Monday afternoon cruise up at the front. Right behind, though, pure pandemonium in this battle with Williams, Brookman, Medma, Cash, and Gronkowski. You can also throw in the likes of Graham Rory Hunt and Jordan Gronkowski in the midst of all that as well. But it is still... I mean, we still have 9.5 minutes left to go from this race. I think once we get into the final, few laps, probably once we have about 3.5 minutes left to go on the clock, that's probably gonna be when we start to see racers just give each other hell. But for now, they're keeping it in the slow lane.
Keep seeing Kieran Shanks just sort of approach and approach and approach and approach, and then not quite to really go for like an ill-informed move. I keep seeing almost the threat of a move expand more than the move itself. This pack is absolutely busy to the max. Gronkowski sort of staring into the back of it. I'd like to get one more view on Gronkowski cam. He's only slightly ahead of us. I still love having his driver cams. He live streams the slot before this on his own streaming platforms. He just had the fastest lap, but I love the way those monitors wrap around. It's like he's got his own FF1600 in tow. But down those hills, those are scary corners to throw any car down, let alone one with no aero. We're not seeing too much making bold moves. You'd call them haymakers. We're seeing people just try and work out where they can get past, because it's going to be the last 2 laps that matter the most. It usually is in these cars on this series. People just sizing each other up for a lot of time around here.
I think I might have said this a little bit earlier on in the show, talking about the style of racing we're going to see today here at the National Layout of Donington. You gotta be methodical about your approach. Figure out when you take those moves, when you make those moves, when you try and take the runs, and all of that. As you can see, those racers, look at the way they wiggle across the track as they head their way off through that final chicane. So many different lines, so many different ways to get moves done. As here we go, look at Renz Brookman trying to stick a 3 wide on the outside, down to turn number 1, 3 wide, right behind, and contact being made. That's Brookman around.
That was 3 wide for 2 rows, and somebody was going to suffer from it eventually in time. Here's Renz Brookman's view on board here. A big vault empty outside, but Gronkowski's got a big run. And as Renz slightly moves across the nose in time to spin himself off this pack and send himself to the back. Cash and Medma now seem to be done with the toying around here. I'm still watching the gaps up front. Kieran Shanks was able to make it past. I'd like to keep an eye on quite where he did that, but now P1 has just sort of run away with it. I've got the spot where it happened. I'll catch the Kieran Shanks move after we see whatever these cars get up to on this run into the chicane. It seems to be a rite of passage that something happens the moment I look away. We're looking pretty clean for now, but I'm seeing more and more grass get kicked up, and this track is not at all forgiving on the track limit. Here's Kieran Shanks for P2. P1 is now Thomas Fleming. He's quite run away. It's going to take a lot of effort to try and get through him, but Kieran was sitting in P3 for a lot of this race, and it must have been coming out of this chicane or into turn 1 where it really developed.
as you can see Shanks getting that move done rather comfortably. So off into the turn, you can see even with some pretty bad curb whacks heading off there, you can see how much that affected him, and that gap between himself and Thomas Fleming ballooning out as they headed their way onto the start-finish straightaway. That's left a significant gap, though. I mean, I was expecting that it would have closed up, but no. Right now, about 0.6 of a second, the gap between Thomas Fleming and Kieran Shanks. If Fleming could just put together some very good laps and hope that Kieran Shanks gets struck by a falling anvil, that may be Fleming's win for the taking as we jump back to this battle for some of the final spots inside of the top 5. As that's it, Medma running off into the dirt, heading down the back straightaway. That could have ended in catastrophe between those two racers. Jake Williams, who impressed really quite a lot yesterday in the Weekend Warriors race, able to grab his win, and I think his first ever start in that series. He's now trying to hold on to that trying to hang on to that top 5 spot for as much as he can, and deja vu contact being made. That's that's Medma and that's Christopher Cash there.
That is
Roy Hunt. My apologies.
I think it's Cash. The cars look very, very similar, so you know it's scary out there. But
not very Cash money for him.
Oh, it's a bump into the back there of Jake Williams, and then it is deja vu. 2 cars trying to look for that same space on turn 1. It's quite a deceptive turn, and I think it's tricking a lot of people. This is just one of those racing incidents that happens when you're running people this close, but the run is tremendous. A huge bump given to the 9 here. And then he's already sort of unsettled, and neither car really quite knows where the other one is going. They're not down and out of the race entirely. Jordan Gronkowski's punching his way up and up and up, now side by side with Jake Williams, who gets a big run away. Hearing more, come on, hearing more people get frustrated. Tension seems to be boiling up in invisible ways that we can't really see on the track today. Jordan Gronkowski now leads out from Jake Williams for P4, but P4's all they're going to get with a 10-second gap down the line. Thomas Fleming has very much made this P1 his own right now. Kieran Shanks is still being challenged by Becker, but Fleming's running away. Oh no. Oh no.
That's Renz Brookman. You could see already 4 tire marks down to the turn, so had to have had some sort of lockup. Let's see as he headed his way down into turn number 1. Does he try and go for a move? He does try and go for a move. Contact being made, and that right there is a messy incident to be sure. Short track, short tempers, and I think all those racers are going to be very happy about this race being done. Daniel Tufts and Medma and Renz Brookman, 3 into 1 does not work out well with that number 1 car of Brookman taking a little bit of flight. Not the most amount of airtime we've seen up to this point. I don't think he got all 4 up off the deck. As you can see, I don't think Daniel Tufts made contact with anybody, and if he didn't, I think he should probably go out and buy a lottery ticket after this race is said and done.
I think he just about got away with it, just had to get out of the way in good time. Tying on the topic of time, it's running out. Anticipating 3 more laps for the leader around the line, and this top 3 is settled out quite a bit, but these drivers are clawing and scratching on the final race of the season. They're here to put on a spectacular show for all of us. Bit of a checkup in line as Callum Boyson and Andre Castro in the late for this race have put themselves right back into contention to at least be a part of this duel more than anything else. Boyson to the outside. I see the 13 of Rory Hunt just get uneasy there in the middle. 3 wide now for a row. Gronkowski just hoping to run away, but how many cars can you fit into a corner? We've seen good things through these turns, but this could only result in a boil-over soon coming into the next few, I think.
Oh, holy cow, these racers are cutting shapes big time. It's gutsy stuff that all these racers are doing on one another. As that's Andre Castro and Graham Rory Hunt swapping spots. That's a terrible run coming out of the chicane for Jordan Gronkowski. He's now going to get chewed up and spat out. Boyson gets a move done in him in rather convincing fashion. Look at Jake Williams, going to try and pounce as well. But Andre Castro with a mighty comeback towards the end of this race. He's now going to try and break his way up into the top 5 if he can try and do it. Gronkowski having to take a quick wipe of his face, try and get some sweat off his eyebrows as it is really getting close here. Looks for a move around the outside to turn number 40, gets it done.
Going to result in him running wide and off the track. That's going to slow him down and out. This battle is not dying down for anything. Callum Voisin, I think, has gotten by far the luckiest as a result of it. I want to watch Thomas Fleming across the line because I think he's due the white flag on the next go past the line, which will make that the last lap. But all eyes are forward to this incredible duel. Do notice Kieran Shanks has gotten closer as well. He got within 2/10 at one stage. It's looked like one of the best races of the season, just in terms of how much it's had the complete picture. Everyone's been in with the game around here. Voisin leads, entering the final lap. We'll keep Gronkowski cam on the screen for you to see any reactions in real time. Anything can happen out here on the track. They all run to the left-hand side, opening up this turn as wide as they possibly can. And there's your first-person view of Gronkowski being sent into orbit. We'll watch what happened there very, very soon. I think that might mark the end of his chance to the top. And where's this led us? Jake Williams just disqualified as well. We're going to have a major debrief on this final lap. Watching on board for the rest of the row here, Kieran Shanks is going to lead over James Pecker. Thomas Fleming likely to take the checkered flag. Don't count Pecker out. If he wants to make a move, he'll do it right now. Side by side, good run. How hard is he going to get outbreaking on the inside? There's a little bit of contact. It pushes Pecker wide. That's going to give Shanks a P2, but Thomas Fleming from flag to flag wins here at Donington Park. In the aftermath of all of the violence, Andre Castro's going to finish in P4. Graham Rory Hunt in 5th. Istad in 6th. Arnoldus in 7th. Cash in 8th. Callum Voice and Daniel Tufts trading places to finish it down the road. And before we talk about anything else, let us give a proper debrief to the carnage that marked off the end of this race. What's the best you can do for this one, Ron?
Really testing my skills. Let's see as we take a look at this replay. Gronkowski, side-by-side racing going on right in front between Castro and Williams. Williams goes for the lunge, slides midway through the turn, and boop, up into the air. He monster trucked it over that spinning car right in front of Voisin. Unfortunate there for Gronkowski, but I'll definitely pin the blame on Williams there. That was too big of a lunge down to the turn. That was never going to fly. Look at that. That is just such an insane send. There's only so much you can do in a situation like that. Pow, up into the air. Sky, ground, bucking up and down like a bucking bronco. And unfortunately for Jordan Gronkowski, gonna maybe have to sell off his sim rig to repair the damage on that car, because that is rather extensive. I think he still came across the line at the end of it all, albeit well farther back from where he probably had in mind. But a pretty wild race here, you know, despite the fact that we weren't seeing racers give each other absolute hell. It was still one where tensions were certainly building. And gotta say though, one small thing to talk about in reference to the battle up at the front, Kieran Shanks peaked at the right time, set the fast lap of the race on the second to last lap. It's just on that final lap he laid an egg. As you can see, that gap grew by nearly a second on the last lap alone.
Further down the road, Andre Castro makes his best of the corners alongside Rory Hunt, Istad, Arnoldus, Cash, Medma, and Callum Voisin. Ahead of Daniel Tufts, Jordan Gronkowski, Rens Brookman, Jake William, and Marcus Luzio. Have some drivers to talk to, including who I think will be a prospective possible champion. This is unofficial, barring the results of the second split, but I anticipated Rens Brookman wouldn't be unseatable from the top. It's anticipated, and Medma beats out Gronkowski and Tufts to the finale, possibly on the back of that incident alone. May just be a frustration on the track, but it's a long, long season to work with. And we'll talk with some drivers, first of all, that we can just talk to about the race. Ron, I'll leave you with Thomas Fleming.
Let's drag him in to have a chat at the end of all this. Thomas, welcome into the booth. Congratulations on the win here at Donington. How was it out there?
My God, it was amazing out there. The car just, was hooked up massively so. Still a couple of questions to be answered around the power output side of things. The two drivers behind me, clearly less talented than I, yet had a lot more horsepower, but the talent prevails, and What can I say? You know, handcrafting my own engines on a tight budget is what I have to do. But yeah, that's what happens in a championship as corrupt as this.
And I will tell you, this is honest, at least from my amateur assessment, it's better to power a Formula 1600 car with gasoline than it is with milk. Just take that advice moving forward as we head off into season 4. Also heard a little bit of chat during the race about the script getting leaked. We did not receive that leak. Was that potentially just kind of kept under wraps throughout this?
Well, the script basically was for Callum Boys in the F3 Merchant to flop, Marcus Luzio to retire very early on in the race, and I just want to say thank you to Marcus Luzio for participating and boosting the SOF. That your I rating was very, very appreciated. But yeah, no, the previous race was a lot more interesting, partly because we weren't scripting it as much. Do with that what you will. But yeah, had a lot of fun. Kieran and James aren't as good as me simply because they have better engines and they lost. So thank you very much.
Yeah, but even with that GP2 engine, you're able to hold it off in that Alpine car, which was about as reliable as an Alpine is in real life. But Thomas, it was a pretty darn good drive for you here today at Donington. Getting back to the serious questions here, how did you find this track? We kind of talked about it right at the start of the show as being a mix of challenge and speed. Would you kind of say that that was the same sort of thing that you're feeling behind the wheel?
These cars are pretty difficult to drive. They're quite on the nose, you know, a lot of rake in these things, similar to a semi truck. So that's the fastest way around to go. But yeah, they're quite fun. Last chicane's probably the most difficult corner to get right because you got those Lego big bright red Lego bricks either side to hit perfectly. And of course, the R racing gods of RNG don't like you getting the same chicane every single lap. But no, it's a really good circuit. Lots of fun. Hope we return here next season. Racing was kept really close, at least in the top 3. All the others, I don't know what they were doing. But in the previous race, the tow was much larger than the sort of skill gap, if that makes sense. Which obviously makes for great racing, entertaining racing for you guys to commentate on. And sorry we weren't able to back up what we sort of teased in front of you in the previous official race.
I'll tell you what, I'm kind of happy about that just because I don't need to reach for a bag of cough drops at the end of all this. But Thomas, thanks for joining us here in the booth. We'll let you give your own thanks and shout outs before we let you go and celebrate.
No, I just want to thank Callum Voisin for his onboard footage of his Formula Ford practice before F3 to get my eye in with this car. I want to thank Kieran Shanks and James for being my bodyguards and making me look really good. I also want to thank my engine builder, which is myself. And I also want to thank Motorsport UK for the International B license that I have. Thank you.
And there you go, man. Well, hey, thank you for joining us here in the broadcast booth. Well done on the win, and looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack for season 4.
Look forward to it in season 4.
And 4. And that right there was Thomas Fleming joining us here in the broadcast booth. The sarcasm was palpable in all of that. But Howie, I'll let you have dibs on the next interview.
Well, it sounds like we might only be talking to this top 3 battle, which is quite extraordinary given everything that happened behind. But order is order, and Kieran Shanks sounds like the one. Kieran, took you a few weeks out. You just wanted to come back one last time for a good race up to the top. Couldn't quite take down your old friend Thomas. Was it rigged?
No, definitely not. I'm a bit suspicious of his pace. Really, he was dead slow in the straights. Obviously, I had a big slipstream, but I think some tire doping may be going on because through the corners I just couldn't get anywhere near him, and he wasn't anywhere near the racing line. Just way more minimum corner speed. Didn't make any sense. So a few question marks around that, really.
So your battle with James Becker, yeah, you only really traded once or twice, but then it really became a dash to the line along that final chicane. Guess you thought you was going to make the move, but how hard is it to hold on when you have Mario Kart jumps on your corners?
Well, if you're good enough, it's not too difficult. But James, James wasn't able to hold on over the big sausages, which is why he came third and not second. But it was a good performance from James. Normally, the pressure gets to him, and he throws away these easy results. But he didn't this weekend, which is really good.
Well, you've dropped in every once in a while over this season. You've done very, very, very well. in the races you've shown up on. Do you have an ambition for the next time around, or is it just your favourite Mondays?
It's just budget dependent. You know, it costs a lot to enter these races. iRacing subscriptions, like what, $12 a month these days. So can only do sort of every few races. But yeah, maybe next season. I mean, looking at the gap in this race, I think it could be a very easy championship top result. So yeah, if I can get the budget together, scrape some coupons, we'll see.
And finally, any other thank yous or shout outs?
No. My engine builder Tom really let me down today. I think he put the better engine in his car, which makes sense. But yeah, just not too happy with him. So we'll be having some words and maybe a different builder for next season. Might go back to Luzio engines. Not very reliable, but very fast.
I know the engine talk is a real talk in the Formula Ford community. You see, don't say I don't know a tiny bit about these cars. Well, good race. Hope to see more of you down the line.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. Cheers.
Very shortly, we'll be speaking to the season champion, Rens Brookman, but until then, I'll leave you with our third place, James Becker, at the back of that.
Yeah, and James Becker joining us here in the broadcast booth. James, welcome in. P3 for you at the end of this race here at Donington. How was it out there?
Yeah, it was a great race. Unfortunately, I think the two in front of me just had the edge due to some slightly underhand tactics. I think I could feel my eyes burning from the slightly interesting fuel mixture they were using, and I could literally smell the tyre softener. But look, it's only an iRacing race. It's a bit disappointing, really, but did what I could.
See, now I need to do some investigative journalism. Do you think they had some like nitromethane in the gas and they probably soaked the tires in Coca-Cola or some other fizzy
something like
drink
that. I think they
option?
probably soaked it in Fanta or something because it just gives them that edge. I mean, round the chicane, they were just sticking so hard. I don't know what was going on.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. It looked like Formula One levels of handling from those two cars a little bit farther up the road, but it was pretty close between all of you all throughout this race. How did you find this track here at Donington?
Really good track, actually. I've been doing quite a lot of races this week. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a bit difficult in this car because it's a bit of a boat, but the last chicane's quite good fun when you can get it right. So, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that final chicane here as well. If the UK ever wants to send a space mission to the moon, that final chicane and the curbs on the inside could actually be a pretty good launching point for it. But James, nice to see you out there on the racetrack here tonight. But we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go and celebrate this podium.
Well, I would be saying thanks to Thomas Fleming, but unfortunately, I think he nerfed me with a bad engine this time. And unfortunately, no thank you to Kieran Shanks either, because didn't give me the tyre fuel, the tyre solution that he was using, so didn't quite manage to make it up there.
And as I said to Thomas, make sure for next season that you don't power your car with milk. Just stick to regular gasoline, stick to petrol, and you'll be good to go from there. But James, thank you for joining us, and well done on the podium.
Thank you, guys.
And me saying petrol there hurt me deeply. So Howie, I'll pass it back off to you as I try and regain my soul.
You ever get the feeling that like three friends have like coordinated their attack plan in the interview for you? You ever get that feeling? Well, finally, we do have one voice that was not a part of the group because it's worth talking to Rens Brookman. Rens Brookman, first time hitting up every week of this season, and it was quite the dominant run of a championship at the end of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to have some fun, really. Yeah, but shit that it didn't. Oh, sorry, a bit unfortunate that it didn't happen in this race. Yeah, some, let's say, a little bit weird driving behavior in this race, previous race as well. So yeah, it's a shame that that ends like this with races like this.
I'm afraid you might not have hit the 2,000 points mark. It was definitely chaos in the middle of that field, and it was quite hard to track what was going on. So where were the biggest hot points where you thought things were getting a bit unusual?
Well, just in general, I mean, I understand fighting for a position, which is great. I mean, everybody should fight hard for the position, but there's also just being without dumb on track, really. So. Yeah.
Well, maybe not the day to remember for you, but you do remember deep down that you showed up to an SOF series and won it hard on the first go. So looking forward, if you plan on coming back next season, a few changes to the schedule, anything stand out to you?
No, actually, I didn't look at a schedule. But regarding the season, I mean, I was away from sim racing for almost 5 years, so it's fun to be back and win it straight away. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, next season I'll try to be there. I don't have that much time, so considering how the last few races, the last 2 races went, not entirely sure if that's still worth spending time on. But yeah.
Any other thank yous or shout outs before we wrap up the show and the season?
No, just family for the support, you guys for doing the commentary, and people making the broadcast available, of course. Yeah, and all the regular drivers that are in here week after week.
Well, you are a top scorer, so even if it doesn't end on quite the day you wanted, it was a very good run out there, and it was fun to see you every single week.
Yeah, you too, guys.
That marks the end of the interviews for a season. Although, let me tell you, these seasons don't exactly have all the break in the world. We will be back this time in just 2 weeks' time, where we head back to Alton Park, the international circuit of Mount Britons, followed by Sebring International, Okayama, Mount Panorama with a chance of rain, Short Road Atlanta, Rudskogen, Brands Hatch Indy on the week of the Formula Ford Festival, Long Beach, Oran Park, Sonoma on the short layout, Leyden and the cut layout of Watkins Glen as the finale. A little the same, a little different, Ron.
Yeah, there are a couple of changes for that schedule, but all in all, I think it is going to be a whole lot of fun. Less on the drafting end of things, more on the challenging end of things. These racers going to have a big test on their hands when we click off to Season 4, but just from a personal standpoint, this is my first full series being on these FF1600 official broadcasts here on Maconi. Joined about midway through last season, and it has been a pleasure and an honor all throughout this season. We've had a whole lot of fun over the past 12 weeks, but I'm sure in the 12 weeks that we can look forward to between now and the end of the year, we're still going to have some more fun to talk about as we look ahead to the new season.
Make sure you join the community as well. As it may have been alluded to, we do have news of an extra broadcast on top of the 12 weeks next season. There might not be too many prizes in successfully guessing and working out what it's going to be, but it's all lined up and it's going to get you more FF1600 racing than ever. So there's a community Discord. You can always join on board and join the rest of the drivers. We're off for a week. I mean, the racing may definitely continue in the Week 13 series, but there be dragons. From us at Maconi Entertainment, from me, Howie at Burrows, alongside Ron Mons. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the new season around. Thank you very much for watching, not just this week, but for the whole season and supporting us the whole way. Thank you very much.